So I'm Meena Jagtiani. I am based out of Mumbai. I am an executive coach and an independent director on multiple boards. Uh, Passionate about working with people, and that's what I've done across more than 30 plus years in my career. Yeah. So that's a little bit about me. I have been coaching over the last 5 years, external coaching, and I was a certified coach. But that program wasn't ICF accredited. And a lot of clients today are asking for an ICF certification. And that's what actually just motivated me to get an ICF certification. And that's the reason why I decided to go with an accredited program. I think I had explored this a few years ago, getting an accreditation. And at a time when I was in the corporate, I had a coach as well. So I did reach out to him, and he was someone who had trained at Coacharya. And he had recommended Coacharya, and I started attending the webinars from time to time that Coacharya has, and I found many of them interesting. And in those days, everything was face-to-face, and the Coacharya programs were fairly expensive. So I wasn't sure if that's what I want to do. And I now felt, there was this opportunity which was there because one, doing things virtual, you could actually do it over a more spaced out time. Because it was once a week, you could do it virtually. And the pricing was obviously different from doing it face to face. And one also had a lot more time now with, you not traveling and things. So I said, okay, let me just take this opportunity and let me get it done with. And but Coacharya as an organization, I think, as I said, I was attending the webinar, so I was familiar with some of the things that Coacharya used to do. I did at this point also speak to explore with a couple of other training or coaching certification organizations. And I just felt that I think the comfort factor was probably there was one. I think the second thing that worked for me personally was that many of them would say, we'll do it over a 3-day program, 4 days, so full day programs. Finish those 60 hours over a continuous period. And I think that was something that didn't resonate with me in a remote. And that's why I felt doing this once a week actually worked. I think the other thing which actually works in Coacharya's favor is the webinars and the material that you all have. And that's available to anyone. And the resources which are available, it's not that only because I'm a student or I'm an alumni. It's available whether I join or I don't join. And there was one more thing that actually happened just before I joined. And that probably made me even more sure about taking the Coacharya program. So I was on one of the webinars, which Ram was actually doing. And I'm one of those quiet ones. So I very rarely put even on the chat box that I'm attending. But on this one, I had a view and I actually typed it out. And, he made a few comments and whatever. And fine, that webinar ended. He didn't know who I was or whatever, but he actually found me on LinkedIn by my name or however he found, and he actually reached out. And he said, I may have been a little blunt or sharp or something every day. It was a very nicely written mail, but this is what I meant. And if you want to talk, or why don't you participate in one of our webinars so we can take this topic further? So I wrote back, and because it was obviously with a client and things, I said, no, I don't want to. So he said, no, we'll keep it calm. So to me, I think it showed that for someone to pick up from a chat, or to say that, listen, do you want to discuss it more? Do you want a perspective? Happy to connect. So I think that showed that there is an intent. And if I even, join them and I become an alumni, part of that family, I can always reach out to a larger set of people whenever one needs support. So that was the other thing that actually finally made me also think of signing up. At the time, I think there were 2 programs that were actually there, or rather 3 trainers were there. One had just started, just one session had gone by or something, and they said, if you want to join, you could join. The second one was, I think, maybe a couple of weeks later or something. And when I went through the credentials, there were a few things that stood out, between the 2 or 3 I was looking at that time. So I felt it was good to get a coach who is not in India, who has a global exposure, because you'll get a different perspective, and the background that the coach had. I mean, I didn't interact with Pooja, but I read her testimonial. I mean, what that was there, her background, which was there. And I said, it'll be nice to have someone who's actually global, because the perspectives you get are different. And, we are coaching people globally. So it's nice to get that. And that's exactly what happened. I think for me, like we say in coaching, we say there needs to be chemistry, and we do that chemistry call. So while I didn't do a chemistry call with Pooja, I think, like we say, the universe just brought it together. So I think in some ways, her style was very similar to mine, or that style worked for me, or what I was looking out for. So maybe it was not conscious, I didn't know about her, but I think, so couple of elements of that worked for me. I think that, she went strictly, like by the structure, following for the curriculum that we were supposed to do. So it was easy, because if I had to prep before, if I had to read something, I knew, okay, this is what is likely to happen in the next session. So there were no surprises. It was easier. So that was one part of it. It was structured. And there was a lot of clarity around, the elements, the markers. There were opportunities to share experiences. And I think the other thing was probably even, if you share some of your coaching experiences or examples from, the practice that you were doing or the sessions, I think she patiently actually responded to them or let you share your thoughts. And I think I may have probably had the most controversial thoughts in the cohort. I think it gave me, the safe space to share what I actually felt. So I think these were some elements that actually worked well for me in terms of, so as we say, that the chemistry needs to match. And I think that matched for me. So I think one, it's got me to explore a lot more. Because I do work with a lot of clients where they give you the competencies and a psychometric and their frameworks, and there is an IDP, and you're normally coaching on those. And earlier, I would try and stay within the client competencies and work with the client on that. This time when I started this, I said, okay, let me try not staying with that, and let me just go with what the client says. Some may be the defined competencies, some could be whatever is on their mind. And let's pick that as an area. And as part of this process, we did have to give a report or coaching log after every coaching session to the client. And I said, if that is not working, and when I'm picking that area, the client will tell me. So I will change it. But I found that the client never came back to me. That's the organization. And the individuals who I was coaching, actually, many of them came back and said, oh, it was a revelation. We've never had someone doing this. This has really given me. So I think that was one thing that happened. So the whole exploration going while there is preparation before a session, but it may not have been to the thing of going into just those competencies, etc. It was more around what am I going to focus on today? How, what's happened in the past? What can we do? So I think that was one big difference. I think the second change for me was not taking notes or taking very minimal notes. And I normally would take fairly copious notes because you have to write back when, clients ask you for reports and things. So that was the second change for me, where I said, okay, I will not do it during the session, and I will make my notes after I finish the coaching session. And I think a part which was also pressure and may not be able to finish it within that time, but was the pressure, the 30-minute call session. So trying to, finish that. And I think what helped was because when in the coaching experience that I have when the clients, so, the clients come up with 2 or 3 areas to discuss, and a client gives you and they're paying you for an X number of hours. So the 30-minute will not work. But I think what Pooja also during the session said, okay, if you're picking up, have every area that of focus as 30 minutes. And I think putting that mentally, so the 30 could go on till 45. I mean, but I started consciously calling that out. Okay, so today, the agreement piece. So today we are going to focus on these 2 or 3 things or 2 things. So if we have 1.5 hours, it's 30 minutes each. So let's start with 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1, whichever was a priority. So that 30-minute thing worked. So every area that I was working on, I would try and say, let's focus on that for 30 minutes. It could go a few minutes here or there, but yes, it was pressure when we were trying to do our recordings, etc. But on our triads. But that is, I think these would be some of the, from the puja effect, if I have to say. Of course, I think the markers, while many of it one does intuitively, but I think just going through all the markers in a structured way and trying to see, are we covering those markers? So I think one I would say is, don't expect to be spoon-fed. So there will be things which are there, but go help yourself. I mean, like it will come on Slack, or it'll, go refer to this, or this is here. But is it going to be given out to me as a handout or as something? No. So if, people want that, that I shouldn't be, but it should come into my mailbox. Because if that's a person, then I don't know if Pooja is the right person for that. I mean, I don't know that. But yeah, and I think each one has styles, so I think, so that's one. I think, so the second one is if, extremely structured and very to the point. So yes, there is space for you to talk, to share views, to get views from, the cohort, to discuss the topic. But will it go on endlessly? Will it, no, within a certain framework, let's close it, let's discuss it, let's move on. So, very focused. And I think, so that is something, so if those are styles that you, are comfortable with, I think, and that's where the chemistry comes in. And I think, as I started off by saying that it's important that in this kind of a program, like, and especially since in coaching we talk of chemistry, I think it's important to have a chemistry. And maybe if I had to do it the next time, this was probably the universe which, just it worked out. But maybe the next time, if I had to choose, or if I had to, I would probably do a chemistry call with the mentor coach. And one more thing which was hugely value adding for me personally were the one-on-one sessions. So I think the insights that I got there, based on the kind of work I do, the kind of person I was, and specifically, if I remember from our conversation, you brought in, and that was a good way of thinking about the work that I do and my own style. And you brought that up, you put it very well, which was consultative coaching. And I remember that you actually sharing that. And you said, okay, maybe that's your style and that's who you are. And maybe that's the approach that works for you, knowing, what I've seen of you. And I think, so some of the insights that came in those one-on-one sessions were extremely valuable.